guided the front runner, the insane mad dog deep state Democrats that are involved in a public coup against our republic, who had guided the front runner in a U.S. presidential election, something the State Department put sanctions on foreign countries for doing, have done it again. The Secretary of State in the most northern state of Maine has taken Trump off the ballot. They didn't even have a fake court case. They didn't even have the Supreme Court do it. She did it for the first time in U.S. history, and she said he's guilty of insurrection. Trump's never been charged with insurrection. He's never been convicted of it. On its face, it's illegal. They want to create this perception he's a criminal, just like all the false criminal indictments in Jack Smith and all the rest of them. Remember, they indicted Trump for questioning the 2020 election with all the massive evidence of fraud. Whether he was right or wrong, it was his right to do it. But he's never been charged with insurrection, much less convicted. The Constitution is clear. You have to be convicted. It's in the 14th Amendment. So these people are saying who you can vote for. This is beyond election betterment. If they're successful in stealing the election by precluding you from having who you want on the ballot. And again, that's what they did to Bolsonaro. The State Department advised their government when he exposed election fraud to just take him off the ballot. He's banned for 8 years. They're doing this everywhere, out of the open, but it's gaslighting. Oh, we're not taking people off the ballot. Oh, we're not stopping you from voting for who you want. There's no election fraud. You just can't vote for Trump. The Democrats in a bunch of states like Georgia tried to take MTG off the ballot last year for Congress. This is a constitutional crisis. They're hiding civil war. We're planning most violence and we're racist. Well, they have Hamas and Black Lives Matter running around saying anybody conservative, Christian, or white, or Catholic is the devil. They're desperate, ladies and gentlemen. They're planning something big in the next 10 months. The public is aware and the Great Awakening is here. We'll be covering it all tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central for the Friday show, 12 Eastern at noon at Infowars.com/show. We're taking our country back peacefully. Keep staying scared, but we're going to win this together. God bless, and I'll see you at Infowars.com. What's fight to take on the New World Order? What's fight to fight tyrants? We're doing it, but we need your support. Plus, we've got incredible products. Biggest sale of the year, live right now at InfoWarsStore.com. Store-wide free shipping up to 60% off. InfoWarsStore.com. Follow the links below. 2023 is almost over, and the biggest sale of the year, Strobite free shipping over 60% off on X2 Turbo Force and more, is live right now at InfoWarsStore.com. Follow links below.
Welcome to the special report. Mike Adams here with a series of events that may unfold in 2024 and 2025, especially after the election. These are not predictions. This is just one course of action, but at the moment, based on what we know right now, and various sources, and also my recent meetings with top connected law enforcement in Texas, I believe this is the most likely sequence of events to take place, and none of it's pretty. None of it's pretty. And this actually coincides with that mainstream media talking head gal. I think she was on Face the Nation, talking about a black swan event. That's her fear that something is going to happen in 2024 that she calls a black swan event, something major, something with huge national security implications. And yeah, of course, I mean, they're planning it. So here's the series of events. Number one, Trump gets reinstalled into the White House. And the reason I believe this is because, well, sources inside the military intelligence and the deepest, let's say, movers and shakers inside the military, not the public faces, but the actual power people, they desperately want Trump back because the Biden regime and all of the, dare I say, woke-tard, wokester, Lloyd Austin and all these highly decorated clown generals and then what have you, they are destroying the military. America's military is in shambles today compared to where it was under Trump. And it didn't take long. The defeat of the military in Afghanistan and also, by the way, the defeat of the U.S. military in Ukraine. The U.S. lost to Russia. And we've run out of munitions, our technology doesn't work, we don't even have hypersonic missiles, recruitment goals aren't being met, nobody wants to join the woke-tard military, it's all in shambles. So the military wants Trump back in office desperately, and they are going to pull some levers, let's say, to make that happen. This is why I think Trump is going to be, well, he'll have his third victory as president if we make it to election day. There are elements, of course, that are trying to halt that election from even happening, but there are other elements inside the military and pro-America elements in the deep state that are trying to stop that. So hopefully we make it to election day and Trump wins again. Anyway, point number one here is that Trump gets put back into office. All right, number two, Trump then activates his mass deportation initiative. And I've been briefed on some details of this by some well-connected, highly experienced, high-level people in Texas law enforcement. I did a separate podcast on that. The Trump deportation initiative will effectively do two things. Number one, it will allow local law enforcement to empty their jails of the illegals they're holding because Trump's federal administration will transport those illegals back to where they came from. So you're going to have buses and planes running 24/7, deporting illegals and dropping them off in Mexico or Venezuela or El Salvador, wherever they came from. Even, I guess, Haiti and other places. This is going to be a big operation, and a lot of local law enforcement are all in favor of this. In addition, there will likely be federal grant money provided by the Trump administration to cover the additional local law enforcement salaries that are necessary to carry out the arrests and deportation of these illegals. And one of the key parts of this plan, as I understand it, is that they won't be going door to door, kicking in doors and ripping people out of their homes. It's not going to work like that. That was one of my concerns because I support civil liberties, and I'm a humanitarian, I'm a compassionate person. I don't want to see people hunted down by bounty hunters and treated like animals. No, instead, the way this is going to work is that there will be aggressive traffic enforcement in all the states that want to participate, all the counties that want to participate, aggressive traffic enforcement. And anytime they do a traffic stop on somebody who turns out to be an illegal, they will be arrested on the spot and they will be deported. And so, they're not going to go door to door. They're just going to stop people for speeding and rolling through stop signs and things like that. But that takes a lot of manpower and it takes a lot of funding that many counties don't have. So they're going to rely on federal funds for that to take place. The bottom line, though, is that Trump is going to push a lot of money into local communities and sheriff's departments and police departments and so on in order to have the extra manpower time and I guess some woman power as well. There are female law enforcement that will be part of this, and they're going to arrest and deport potentially, millions of illegals. Now, as this is happening, then we get to point number 3. The radical left, the same left-wing lunatics funded by globalist money, George Soros operations, the same people that ran these anti-Trump protests in 2020, they're going to go completely nuts. They're going to have a mass uprising and try to start a civil war across America. And they're also going to activate all of the occupying military-aged men who have crossed the border illegally and have been placed in cities across America, mostly sanctuary cities. So you're going to see a massive civil war, city by city, county by county, a massive uprising, a purge, if you will, of these occupying forces combined with radical anti-American leftists who will be to initiate an actual revolution and total chaos in order to overthrow the Trump administration. That will be their goal. This is kind of like the Red China Maoist revolution. That's what it's going to look like. But the cities that will burn the most will be the sanctuary cities, the blue cities, because that's where most of the criminal illegals are located. And it's going to be a death trap in a lot of those cities. But you can expect attacks on infrastructure all over the country. There will be deliberate attacks by radical leftists and these occupying forces on power substations and refineries, bridges, transportation, ports, water treatment. What else? Airports. Oh yeah, don't forget they have some number of surface-to-air missiles, in addition to a much larger number of RPGs and mortars, and of course explosive vests, full auto weapons and night vision and things like that. So you're going to see organized raids of illegals, armed illegals, attacking and carrying out mass extermination of police departments, for example, or sheriff's departments. They're going to sweep in and just try to wipe out all the law enforcement in a given area so they can then have control over that area while achieving mass chaos. And that's going to happen. So that's all point number 3. This is going to be a civil war, not North versus South, but from every sector within the United States, from every town, every county. You're going to have a civil war element, an insurrection, revolt that is intent on carrying out acts of terrorism against the United States of America by taking down our infrastructure, taking down our law enforcement, and trying to take down Trump as president. And of course, also anytime they get a chance to shoot Christians or white people or Trump supporters or Second Amendment people, they're going to take that opportunity and exterminate as many people as they can. I describe this as, well, you know how Hamas did the October 7th attack on the Israeli kibbutzes? That's nothing compared to what's coming in America. Consider it to be like Hamas times 1,000 in every county across America, all on the same day. That's what's coming. And most of the American people will just be taken by total surprise. They will have no idea what's happening. But it will be the veterans and law enforcement, both active duty and retired, and also preppers and SWAT team members and so on, people who own firearms and who want to survive, who will do what Patrick Swayze did in Red Dawn. They'll start organizing local resistance to fight against the invading force. Except the invaders won't be parachuting out of the sky like in that movie. They're going to be activating right there locally, right on the ground, right in the streets, the town square right in front of you, and they're just set fire to everything and bomb everything, and blow up everything, and it's the go time for the terrorists to try to take down America. That's all point number 3. All right, point number 4. Trump will be forced to declare, of course, a major national emergency. Sometimes we use the term martial law, but that's not really the correct term because martial law means the military is in charge. But in a general sense, I'm going to call it martial law because we're talking about curfews and lockdowns and ultimately military checkpoints in the cities, on the roads, on the highways, and so on. You're going to see America turned into a battlefield, kind of battlefield that we might have only seen in places like Israel versus Lebanon or Israel versus Gaza. That's coming to America. It's going to be a war zone, and the American people are not ready for this. But Trump is going to be put in this position. He's going to be forced into this, not by his choice, but by design, so that then the left can claim, well, Trump is a dictator now. He's declared himself to be a military dictator. And look, he's got soldiers on the streets. Yeah, well, you're going to need soldiers on the streets because you have all these damn terrorists trying to rip our country apart from within, by the way. And I've said this many times, even years ago. I said, when the day comes that Trump has to declare, the insurrection is on and there's going to be martial law, when that day comes, you're going to beg for it. You're not going to resist it. You're going to be begging for it because the chaos will be so bad and our streets will be so dangerous. You will beg for military involvement. It might be, State Guard, National Guard type of military, but you're going to beg for the military to come in and try to restore law and order. That's how crazy things are going to get. So that's all point number 4. Now, during that, don't forget, the cities are going to burn. Don't forget that there will be major armed uprisings from the radical leftists, from the occupying enemy forces, the illegals that have been staged here, from the People's Liberation Army, and some terrorists from certain Middle Eastern countries, and maybe a few America haters from Russia as well. It's going to be this hodgepodge of anti-American terrorists that are already here, and they're going to be activated, and they're just going to go to their pre-planned locations. They'll be texted GPS coordinates or whatever. Go here, open this door at this storage facility, and inside you're going to find, like 50,000 rounds of 50 caliber ammo, and a gun. Oh, guess what? There's a 50 caliber gun right there. And so they'll be given instructions, take the gun to this point and shoot up this police station, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's going to be a full-on war against America. Now, I just want to have a disclaimer here. This is a worst-case scenario I'm describing. I hope none of this happens. I pray that it doesn't happen. But I guarantee you that if Trump wins the election and is put back into the White House, there's nothing the left won't do to try to destroy America at that moment, because they know that Trump won't hold back in his third term. Trump will go for the throat of these anti-American traitors. Now, Trump will secure the border. Trump will deport millions of illegals. Trump will shut down the human trafficking trade. And the left can't stomach that. They need the illegals to win elections. They need the chaos. They need the drug trafficking, the human trafficking. They need open borders in order for them to survive. So they will go all out. This will be a last-ditch, Hail Mary, desperate attempt by the radical left to overthrow America from within. And Trump will be in the White House trying to navigate this. He's going to bring back some key people from his first administration, by the way, a few of them. Hopefully not all the backstabbers and traitors like Jeff Sessions, but certainly not Mike Pence, thank God. But real Americans are going to come back in. I mean, I'm thinking about, like Colonel Tony Shaffer, for example, people like that. And maybe, Douglas McGregor. People who can actually advise with a sense of reason and patriotism with a lot of military experience. That's who Trump needs to bring back in. But those people are going to be busy trying to protect America from what's happening. Now, during all of this, by the way, this is point number 5. During this chaos, the anti-American elements of the deep state working with the globalists, they pulled a plug on the whole damn system. This will be some sort of cyber attack, false flag, probably something to be blamed on Russia or blamed on China or North Korea. The narrative is already being pushed out there. They're already dropping those names or pre-blaming America's enemies for what's going to happen. This is either going to be an EMP weapon or a cyber attack takedown of the banking system or the power grid, or maybe some combination of those things. One way or another, the power grid is probably coming down, and the banking system is coming down, because of course if the power grid goes down, the banking system falls. When the banking system craters, then you're going to have the great taking, as George Webb has been describing in his documentary. The great taking is this mass confiscation of all the assets, the bank accounts, the stocks, the treasuries, even property like your vehicle, your home, your land. Mass confiscation. The assets of most Americans will be taken over by this corrupt criminal banking cartel system. Millions of Americans will be left absolutely penniless. Even those who used to be wealthy, they will have nothing because they didn't buy enough gold and silver. They'll be left with nothing. And this will be used as the great reset to try to force people into CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, where the government can spy on you and your financial transactions and limit you on how you can spend your money and things like that. Oh, they can also have automatic taxation. What a wonderful thing. You don't have to calculate taxes anymore. They'll just take everything from you and call it even. Right. Okay, so the point number 6 is following this chaos attack, whatever this looks like, EMP grid down, banking collapse, then the United States of America is going to be plunged into just total chaos at that point. The cities will be death zones. Law and order will completely vanish. Police won't even try to maintain law and order in these sanctuary cities. The criminal elements, mostly illegals and drug traffickers, human traffickers, and so on, they will run the cities. LA will be taken over by criminal gangs. And it's almost at that point right now, in certain parts of it, but law enforcement will just evacuate and basically wall off sections and say, look, that's a no-go zone, we're not even going to try. Downtown Seattle, unlivable. Downtown Portland, Chicago, even places like Denver. They want to keep Trump off the ballot. Well, guess what? There are consequences. Your cities will burn. Because you invited illegals to come in. You defunded police. You abandoned the rule of law. Guess what? There are consequences for that. Your cities will burn. New York City, Mayor Eric Adams, I'm almost starting to feel sorry for the guy because he inherited this nightmare and he's been kind of honest about it. He says New York City will be utterly destroyed by illegal immigration. Yeah, America will be destroyed by illegal immigration if we don't stop it. I mean, welcome to the club, pal. How do you think we feel about it here in Texas? Why do you think Governor Abbott is sending you tens of thousands of illegals, unloading them by the busload in New York City? It's just so you get a little small, tiny taste of what we deal with every day in Texas, by the way. Same for Mayor Johnson in Chicago. Same for Gruesome Newsom out in California. Guess what? We got about 100,000 criminal illegal felons that were emptied out of the prisons in Venezuela coming to your doorstep in San Francisco or Los Angeles or all your other California sanctuary cities. They will burn because you refuse to fund police and you refuse to enforce the law. We're just going to bust them all out of Texas and put them on your doorstep. So, this is the scenario that is shaping up. This is why elite people, wealthy, like Mark Zuckerberg, this is why they're building massive $50 million bunkers. This is why people are planning to live underground for a year or two while this whole situation unfolds, because America is going to become a battleground. And I can tell you who's going to survive this. It's not just the lone wolf rapper, although that will give you some time and some buffer. It's going to be the local communities that organize a defense against the looters, the criminals, the cartels, the gangs. Law enforcement as you know it will cease to function, but it's going to have to be sort of reborn at the local level, where you'll have, yeah, some members of current law enforcement, but also local people. You'll have uh, veterans, you'll have retired cops, retired SWAT, you'll have preppers and maybe some militia guys, and you'll have hunters and self-defense experts and whatever. And they're all going to get together and say, hey, do we want to have a city here or not? Do we want to have a community or not? And if we want to have a community here, then here's how it's going to work. We're going to have to protect transportation. We're going to have to set up barter. This is going to be the barter area. People can come and go. We're going to have a monetary exchange system. It's going to be gold and silver, maybe gold backs, maybe garden seeds and ammo. It's going to be a barter economy, and maybe the state will issue a new currency. But we're going to have to keep the streets safe. Otherwise, we all starve or we all die. We have to be able to trade with each other. Somebody's got garden seeds, somebody else has cow's milk, somebody knows how to weld. You get the idea. This person over here has a sewing machine, that's me. We'll sew for food. I'll be holding up a sign. I used to be called a health ranger, now we'll sew for food. You're going to have all kinds of barter taking place. And even so, you're going to have people who try to steal and loot, and they're going to end up being shot and killed for the most part. Pedophiles are going to be just shot and killed. These local communities, they're not going to put up with pedophiles, child stalkers and child traffickers. If you get caught trafficking children in that scenario, your lifespan is about 60 seconds. And I guess some people would argue that's the way it should be. I don't know. That's up to you to decide what you think. I'm just saying that in an emergency situation, the normal rules of due process are really kind of, truncated. It's like your due process might be, what are you doing with this van with 3 children in here who are crying and sobbing and look like they've been raped? You have 15 seconds to explain what you're doing here, and it's probably not going to work. You know what I mean? And you can't blame law enforcement for sort of being in a hurry to deal out justice in a collapse survival situation, because we're talking about, in this scenario, we're talking about the deaths of tens of millions of Americans, if not a lot more. This starts to get into the Deagle.com numbers range, which had anticipated, I think, a 70% reduction in the U.S. population by the end of 2025. Now, nobody knows for sure where Deagle got those numbers and why they removed those numbers from their website. It's almost an urban legend now to think about what the population might be after all this, but I can tell you that with an EMP attack or a grid down scenario, the die-off rate is, according to government-funded reports, is about 90% within about 18 months. So 9 out of 10 people won't make it. And you can imagine that most of those 9 out of 10 people are going to be the people in the cities that are burning. People who mock weapons, people who have no firearms. They don't even know what to do with a Glock. And that's the simplest handgun imaginable. There's not even a safety on it. It's just like, rack the slide, pull the trigger, You don't even know how to do that. It's complicated. What do you do with this clip? They'll call it a clip. It's not a clip, it's a magazine. And if you don't know, forget it. Just good luck. But the non-preppers are going to be lucky to survive this. Even those who are well prepared are going to have to create strong local communities. You're going to have to grow food. You're going to have security. You're going to have emergency medicine. You're going to have some type of comms. You're going to have a monetary exchange system. If you don't have these things, it's just not going to work. Let me actually plug something here, because I often fail to do this, but in terms of monetary exchange, of course, there's gold and silver, and junk silver coins are highly recognizable. They'll be used by a lot of people for small payments. And our sponsor in that space is the Treasure Island Coins and Precious Metals Company. If you want to get physical gold and silver in your hands, just go to the following website, metalswithmike.com. And then you get your gold and silver. I do not earn a commission on that at all. But they pay us a fee to be mentioned. So they help support our platform, and I mentioned it. But they do a great job. I mean, if I got complaints about them, I would not plug them. They do a great job. They have for many, many years. I trust them. I've made purchases with them, and they've helped a lot of our members and listeners, shore up their gold and silver. And by the way, I don't urge speculation. I'm not here telling you that gold's going to go to $5,000 an ounce. I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I'm just saying, when the grid goes down and the banks fail and the dollar fails, you're going to need something other than a dead bank account. If you want to barter for food, you're going to need gold and silver. But there's another innovative form of gold called gold backs that I got turned on to by my friend Robert Scott Bell. And then I did a bunch of laboratory testing on the gold backs. These are sort of the shape of bills, but they're embedded with physical gold inside them. I mean, they actually have physical gold, and you get them in denominations of 1 or 5 or 10 and so on. And that means 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. It's 24 karat gold in the bill. And the 10 has 10 1/1000ths of an ounce, right? And they have 25 and a 50. That's 51,000ths of an ounce of gold, which is actually quite a lot of gold. It's a pretty thick, heavy bill. So I did all the lab testing on it because I got a bunch of these gold bags. I melted it down. I used a kiln, and I did a gravimetric analysis, and I got recoveries out of them of over 100% of the gold, typically 102 to about 105% of the claimed amount of gold. And I took that gold into my lab and I did an ICP and mass spec analysis of the gold, determined the purity of it, and I found out it's greater than 24 karat gold. So I did all this test, and I actually showed you all the evidence with all the photographs and the lab test results at the following website, verifiedgoldbacks.com. If you want to get gold backs, because it's divisible gold, it's spendable gold, it's high utility, you can use these immediately in a collapse, after a collapse, and the gold is in the bill. But it's spendable. You can actually pay somebody 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. Here it is. Just hand them this gold back. So it has very high utility. And that's what makes it different from just gold coins or silver coins. You can find out more details about this at verifiedgoldbacks.com. That is an affiliate site. I do earn, my company earns a small commission at no additional cost to you if you decide to purchase there. But I'm committed to continuing to destroy some gold backs in order to do ongoing testing of the gold content and the gold purity. And, plus they help support our platforms with a little bit of your purchase price. So just check that out. If that's of interest to you, there is a premium on those over the price of gold. And that premium reflects the additional utility and the visibility of the gold back form. But if you just want ounces of gold, it's actually cheaper to buy gold coins. If you want high utility, high visibility gold, then check out Goldbacks. And again, the website for that is verifiedgoldbacks.com. You can see all my lab testing. I had a lot of fun with that. Melting down gold backs. You should see the gold foil. I'll show you a picture of it in my hand. You get gold foil, when you melt them at 800 degrees Celsius, it burns off all the polymers and it just leaves this gold foil. And then that's the first burn. And then the second burn, I melted at 1100 degrees Celsius, and then that foil melts into a BB, like a little gold sphere. And I show you those pictures as well. It's amazing that, gold, you can hammer gold into a very thin foil. You can have gold cover a very large area, even from a very small amount of gold, because it's so valuable. It's one of the amazing properties of gold. But you can take a giant piece of thin gold foil, and if you melt it down, it's just a little tiny, like the size of a BB. Anyway, I'll show you those photos there. My point is, whether or not gold and silver are right for you, do your own research, do what's right for you. But I believe that we have to have redundant backup plans for what's coming. Obviously, I believe this because I'm a member and I've been for more than 2 decades, and I still don't think that I'm ready for what's coming. Now, the scenario that I outlined here in this podcast, admittedly, this is a worst-case scenario. I hope it doesn't come to this, and there are many opportunities for this whole plan to be halted. There are lots of ways for the plan to stop. And thank God we still have people in America who care about this country. And there are some people even in government that still care about this country. There are some good people even inside the FBI, believe it or not. There are some good people, for sure, I know, inside military intelligence. There are some good people in the DOJ. there were a lot of people who they hated Trump and now they want him back. Yeah, a lot of people like that inside the DOJ, inside the FBI, inside the so-called deep state. There are people who, looking back on the Trump days versus the Biden days, even though they voted for Biden, now they wish they could take that vote back. Not that it mattered because the votes were all rigged anyway, but they wish they could have Trump back at this point. You know, it was so much better under Trump. But the left can't stand that, so they will run Operation Chaos at a level of insanity that's almost unimaginable. I want to summarize this by saying that if the worst case scenario unfolds as I currently see it, which again is subject to change, you know, maybe it'll get better. Maybe this won't happen. But if it does unfold in this way, you're going to be living in a war zone that is unrecognizable as the United States of America. You won't even recognize the country. You'll be asking yourself, is this even America? Is this the town where I live? Is this, you know, the neighborhood? You won't recognize it. And you'll be desperate to bring back the America that we once knew. Together, though, as we survive this and we navigate this, which is one reason why I promote survival and preparedness and, you know, unabashedly promote solutions that can help you live through this. But once we do that, then I think we can defeat these anti-American forces. I think we can deport the violent criminal illegals. I think we can defeat the election rigging of the Democrats. And I support Trump arresting all those who carried out these acts of treason against him, which goes back, by the way, to from 2016 on. All these people that took part in these treasonous acts. I mean, Hillary Clinton committed treason at so many levels. John McCain was part of it. The Trump dossier, I mean, he's already dead, burning in hell, no doubt. But he should be arrested for treason. They should just dig him up. Just like arrest John McCain's zombie body for treason, and you know, just correct the historical record to show what a traitor that guy was, in my opinion. But Trump should go all out, and he should just, frankly, declare an insurrection, like an 8-year insurrection, a real insurrection. I mean, look at these Democrats. They're trying to take Trump off the ballot. They just did it in Maine. They did it in Colorado. I mean, those are acts of insurrection. That's the real insurrection. Not to mention that January 6th was all staged. It was run by the FBI. And, you know, Nancy Pelosi, who was another former traitor against the U.S., in my opinion. I think that if we get Trump back in office on this, then Trump should invoke every emergency power at his disposal to round up and arrest the traitors and prosecute them. I mean, we're done playing patty cake here, right? We're done with the games. This is do or die time for the nation, for our constitutional republic. If we don't stop the damage to America, we're done for. The nation won't survive, and even now, it's going to be tough to survive all this. We're going to have to probably fight like hell against the anti-American forces, the invaders, the occupied enemies that are trying to carry out sabotage and mass murder and whatever else they're doing. We're going to have to fight like hell to defeat them. But I believe we can do that. I really do. I think the anti-American forces have underestimated